Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. Welcome to the stream. I'm joined tonight by the wonderful best friend, Daniel Warren. Hello, Dan.
Hey everybody, what's up?
What's up? I'm gonna be working on comic stuff tonight, as usual, except there's a special twist with this stream.
Uh-oh.
I'm basically done.
Oh,
All that's left is coloring the inked pages pretty much. I have to finish this page, it's on the screen right now. But outside of that, it's just about coloring.
hell yeah.
Yeah, boy.
Is this a final big, like, vignette page?
Yeah.
Nice. I like the composition with the circle and the circle.
Oh, actually, this is the first page.
Oh, cool. It's an establishing. Cool. Nice.
Is the music okay with our voices, or is the music too loud? I can't tell. I'm hearing the volume of the music different than you all.
I'll listen to it. It sounds pretty good. I just checked it.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy to be at this point. What a wonderful break. Just feeling like all I gotta do is wrap this up and then I'm free to do other things. What?
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Well, the last bit that's gonna happen is I'm gonna fill out the additional stuff that's going into the book. So I'll basically be like laying out the whole book. The rest of it is going to be like Starvale stuff. So like the old portraits and things will go in the back of this book, like everything I had done in the past.
Nice.
I just figure, a place to collect all of that.
Yeah, really.
And I'll have like the old comic in it as well.
Nice.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the flip book of your animation. A tiny, tiny flip book.
Yeah, I mean that's really the only thing that won't be in there. Because
I'll be reading chat while Dave draws and colors. If anybody has anything they want to talk about or us to talk about.
Yeah, you have anything at all?
Did you watch Fallout?
I did not.
It's shockingly good.
Really?
Yeah, I was extremely surprised. I was like, this feels like I'm just playing the game.
Great.
There's only one scene that people seem to maybe not like, but everything else is like, I'm going to say it's like 95% exactly what it should be. The best stuff that I think you're going to love is the Brotherhood of Steel. They make it feel like a religious order. It feels like very oppressive and very like faith-based, and like it feels the way it should, but they capture the gravity of it and like the weird like fear. Like it's actually kind of shocking to me how many different tones they managed to hit while still keeping it kind of silly.
Oh, cool. So it's still like campy and weird.
Yes, they definitely capture the I will say the intro, the intro like vignette thing they do like in the 1950s or whatever before the bombs go off in Fallout. That whole section it feels heavy. Like they managed to make it feel like spooky, which is I didn't think they'd be able to do. And then the stuff in the vault feels very like kitschy and like the way it should, like very like they nailed the comedy feel of it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm excited to watch that.
Yeah, the only complaint I really have is that a couple of the CG wide shots, you can tell the CG's not really meshing with the character they're filming, but other than that, it's like pretty great.
Nice.
I didn't realize that all 8 episodes came out at once. I watched the first one and I was like, I gotta wait. And then someone told me in my chat today that they're all out. So I'm like, oh, shit. I hope it's all good. That's like a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes, so I'm assuming it's all really good.
Yeah, I saw the reviews of it and I was like, oh. I wanted it to be good after seeing the trailers.
Dan, please make sure that Dave hits his moan quota. Moan quota is not a Star Wars character. Should be. On my stream, people make me do 1 moan every 2 hours. Really?
Like a sexual moan?
It doesn't have to be. Usually is, but it doesn't have to be.
Can you give me an example?
I did an almost painful one today for the moan quota where it was kind of like a like that.
Nice.
Yeah, not something you have to do. I think people want you to though.
I could.
We were just talking about words that sound like Star Wars names, and moan quota
yeah, moan
sounds
quota.
like yeah,
moan quota. Junker.
Yeah. If you don't want to pay me for these parts, Jabba, I'll take them to moan quota. That just sounds like, it's perfect. Yeah. Dan and Dave and Kim is the Acceptable Comic podcast on Twitch, now retired. It may come back someday, but for right now, kinda.
I mean, it would be just this on Twitch too.
It would just be this. You want to know what we've been watching, Dan? It's a magic prank show, says Kim. Magic pranks? You want to talk about that?
That Netflix show. It's like that Magic for Humans dude. He's like really corny. You know what I'm talking about? He's like a youngish guy.
Sure.
But
I don't, but sure.
It's pretty good.
Okay. Dave, how do you go about studying folds and drapery for a character's clothing? If I need to, I just use a model and I put cloth on it, or I dress somebody up and reference it, or I find a classical painting that has something similar. But what do you do?
I mean, most of like what I hold on to from the past is all just very old books, like the Loomis books where he does like folds and drapery and things. Like I kind of just in the back of my head I follow those rules. Like I always remember those.
Yeah, his breakdown's really good.
Yeah, that was like early days when I was young. Like I just like would look at that stuff and I kind of just follow similar rules. But I try to go really exaggerated with it all. So that's why I don't really use reference too much, because I feel like it makes my stuff a little stiff and I'm not crazy about that. But yeah.
It's one of those things where if a piece feels good and the action feels right, if the folds aren't 100% correct, no one's really going to notice.
Yeah. I mean, you can get away with a lot of stuff as long as it's like informed. And I mean that you have some semblance of an idea of how those things actually work. And then you can modify them to, suit whatever you're doing. Like if you're exaggerating something like I was saying, then you can, push and pull that stuff like elastic.
Yeah. Dan, maybe a dumb question, but do you have your own psilocybin experience? I don't, because the only person I would trust to have it with is Dave, and I don't want to go out to Colorado and do it till I lose some more weight. I don't want to travel or anything, because I'm really locked into a diet. But yeah, I'm willing to do it. It's just the only person I could do it with is Dave. But it is kind of spooky to me, because I don't exactly know what it's going to bring to the front. But yeah, when I do have it, you guys will know. Dave might live stream it.
No, I would never do that.
Secretly.
Never.
This is actually funny, Johnny, that you bring this up, because I told Dave about this last night. I think Dave knew, but it's funny you bring it up, that David Lynch was going to direct Return of the Jedi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about that when he's like, and then he brought me upstairs, and he said, this is a Wookiee. And then I started getting a really bad headache. He's just talking about his headache getting worse. This is an Ewok. This headache's getting pretty bad.
I can completely relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, what else has been going on? You went on a nice trip. You saw some caves.
Yeah, went on a nice trip to St. Louis. It was very fun. Whole family just went to some caves. Went to the City Museum, if you know what that is. It's really cool in St. Louis. And then, well, we went to the Merrimack Caves, and they have this really cool patriotic section of the cave where they just play God Bless America, and there's like pictures of the troops and stuff and families walking along the beach, and it's just the weirdest thing in the world. So you're like, this is a cave, right? Like, why am I...
That feels like Fallout, unironically.
Yeah, like, why am I watching this? Like, it's so funny. Mm-hmm. Like eagles flying and like... Yeah, it was enjoyable. Yeah, outside of that, we went into Ulysses S. Grant's farm. That was really cool too. Saw a bunch of the animals that are there. Like, you'd be shocked how many animals they have on that property from all around the world. It's like, why? Why did Ulysses S. Grant collect so many animals?
Yeah.
But yeah, we actually missed. We went there specifically to go see the totality of the eclipse, but we missed it because we were in traffic for like 8 hours, like 7 hours actually, I think. But that was insane. I was like, oh, okay, St. Louis is not built for this many people coming here to see the eclipse.
Yeah, no way.
It was so insane. Like, I've been in like New York City, you know, traffic, and Boston, and like, you know, Red Sox games and shit like that. Nothing compared to what happened in St. Louis. I couldn't believe that. Traffic. I was like, what is this? Like, how are we still just... We were like an hour away from our destination, and it took us like 4 hours to get there.
It's always great when you can see where you're gonna go, and you can still watch the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy in the time it takes to get there. It's great.
Yeah. We went and visited Maddie in chat. That was fun.
Raviraj says, are you making your own comic? Yes, he is.
Yeah, I'm just about done making my own comic.
EJ Fudd says,
exciting.
Oh, good.
Nothing.
EJ Fudd says, I'm not sure how YouTube streaming works, but do you have volume control? The stream is always low and hard to hear. Is that the case for everybody, or is that an EJ thing, or let us know?
I mean, I can turn it up.
Manster says, question about Colorado. What's the rent like out there now? I mean, I'm guessing near the cities it's going to be pretty out of control and out in the middle of nowhere. Because Colorado, there's like two different Colorados. There's like Metro Colorado, and like I live out in the mountains, Colorado. I'm guessing it's significantly cheaper.
Yeah, I'm sure it's cheaper out in the middle of nowhere. But in Denver, it's way more expensive, I guess, than it was a decade ago, because a ton of people moved here from everywhere. Mostly California.
Let's see. Hello, my first time catching you live. Been watching the VODs for the last couple months, says some wise guy. Welcome.
Hey. This is the victory lap for the comic. For anybody just joining us. This is the last regular comic page that needs to get done. I did a lot of them, a lot of the like super spoilery pages off stream. Because I was like, well, I don't want to do like the ending on stream necessarily. No, it's not a big deal. It's not like everybody who's ever going to see this comic is looking at the stream. But
yeah,
I still was like, maybe not.
Yeah, you want to keep it exciting. Kim, an hour inside Denver is still close to Denver, though. I'm talking about like way out. There's parts of Colorado people don't even know exist. There's corners of Colorado where no one lives, where you can rent the house.
Yeah, if you go to like southeast Colorado,
yeah,
just,
there's like actual ghost. It's like actual ghost towns. There's like casinos with like 2 people inside them, inside valleys, and like no one even knows exists. I want to know what it costs to live there. But anyway, did the boys enjoy seeing where goblins live and having that cave life?
Absolutely.
Nice. WK says, modded my PS1 Mini. Any PS1 game recommendations? Suikoden, and Suikoden 2, and Vagrant Story, and Threads of Fate, and all the RPGs, obviously, all the Final Fantasy games, Tactics,
Strider,
Parasite Eve, Strider, yeah, Parasite Eve.
There's like a million PS1 games that are good. I would just go down a list. I mean, it depends on what, like any genre game you want. There's a good one in that genre, like a handful of them.
Yeah, there's honestly too many. There's so many. Yeah, Chrono Cross, Bushido Blade, Mega Man Legends. Yes, Mega Man Legends, for sure. It's a great game. But yeah. Here we are.
Boy. Feels so
You're
good.
wrangling that chrome brush.
Oh, also, here's a spooky orc that I was doing. Just to break things up a bit. I painted a spooky orc. I was trying to paint very fast to get like my well, I just got off a call with the Blizz boys today to do some more stuff for Diablo 4.
Hell yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna keep pushing my like painting stuff. So this one's super fast. This was like an hour and 15 minutes or something. So I'm improving my speed by like a decent margin, working the way that I did on the Venom painting. So if you're a patron, you probably saw the process video that was up for that. So I just used that same approach, and yeah, I'm flying through paintings now. It's great.
I had some spicy ramen at a ramen place for dinner. I haven't had ramen in like over a year.
Can you get a little closer to your mic, or I don't know,
this?
it seemed like you got quieter for some reason.
I've been sitting here basically the whole time. Does this sound better?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah,
So you had ramen?
I did for the first time in like a year, and I wish I could have shared it with you guys. It was very, very good. I was like, damn, I want Kim to taste this and tell me if it's as good as I think it is.
Yeah. I haven't had ramen in a long time, but I got spoiled the first time that Kim and I went to New York City together. We went to this Michelin-rated ramen restaurant near where we were staying, and that just was ridiculous. It's just like when you have like really good ramen, it's not like you can't have ramen again and not enjoy it or something, but like,
yeah, it's different though.
There's just such a difference in the level. You're like, holy shit. Kim actually made after we went there, and like I don't know how, I can't remember how long after, but Kim made like everything for the ramen from scratch pretty much, and
Nice.
it was like incredible.
I mean, the pho she sent me was great.
Oh,
Yeah, when I was sick, she sent me Pho.
There you go.
Whatever.
I'm Vietnamese.
Okay, I'm from Massachusetts, so saying things the Massachusetts way kind of happens. If I wanted to jump into digital for the first time, would Clip Studio be a good pick? I'd say Clip or Procreate are probably the two, like, I don't know, like most natural transitions.
Yeah, I think Clip has very good normal like pencil feel brushes and things, and pretty good paint brushes. It's mostly a drawing program, so inking in there feels really good. Definitely like sketching and doing like thumbnails and whatnot, like that all works really well. Painting isn't exactly how it feels traditionally, you know? You can get that more with programs like Rebel. But yeah, I think like when it comes to painting, digital is just a little, it's like its own thing, you know? Like it's not exactly like anything traditional. So it depends what you're after, really.
Yeah.
But as a general app, like I would say that, like Dan said, Procreate or Clip are really good options.
I think Procreate probably feels the most, like if you're coming from traditional, I'm assuming you've done art and you're not just jumping into digital from nowhere. I feel like Procreate probably feels the most like drawing on paper.
Yeah, especially if you set it up right, where you get like the paper feel, like cover for your screen, and then you get like a different nib where, you know, you have that more like tactile feel, less of the like drawing on glass feeling.
Yeah.
That was always, I mean, I still don't really care for drawing on the iPad for as much as I've tried. But it's definitely cool. I mean, the best thing that I played with recently was, what's that app called? Is it called Dreams? Or am I, like, what is it?
I know what you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, that app is really cool. The animation app. Just for fun today, I was like, I wonder if I put Steve Lichman into a AI generator thing, if it would make Steve. I hadn't like considered that. I was like, I wonder if we're like a part of it enough for it to make it. Yeah, it's so like it didn't do it exactly. It was kind of interesting because it like, I didn't say make a comic or anything like that. I just said Steve Lichman, the Undead, Lich Lord, whatever, just something very basic. You know, like it could have made anything from that. And it only made comics, like comedy comics.
Oh.
But it didn't do like the Steve style. Isn't that weird?
That's very interesting. I wonder why. I wonder like how we fit into it. Like,
well, I mean, clearly it knows that it's a comic, or it wouldn't have automatically made comic stuff.
do you think it's seeing more search results for Steve that are typed than art? And it's like, I know this is a comic and I know it's comedy based on people talking about it, and it's not seeing the images so much?
I don't know. I didn't really know what to make of it, but I just thought that was interesting. I think it's weird that it did that. Like it made like a weird like skeleton character in a hood and robe and stuff.
That's very funny.
It's sort of like when you put in, like I was wondering if we would get the same kind of result as like a, you know, like people say like, oh, like Italian plumber character. And it's like,
oh yeah,
and it just
don't
makes
draw
Mario.
Draw a cartoon Italian plumber, yeah. I'm in the exact same spot I've been for my mic the whole time. I don't know what to tell you guys. You have to turn me up in OBS or something. Yeah, we have Steve Lichman at home. Yeah. Do you think it's a coincidence that the Beetlejuice 2 trailer came out a week ago and he said the juice is loose and now OJ Simpson's dead?
No, I don't think it's a coincidence.
Yeah. You think that killed OJ Simpson?
Maybe.
Just thought it was interesting. It's like, wow, there's something I haven't heard anyone say for 10 years at least. And now he dies immediately after. It's like, all right.
It's the curse.
Okay. Yeah. Wonder if those were his last words.
I still think about that like Opie and Anthony bit where they like just read
Oh, yeah.
that like If I Did It book.
What was the guy's name he made up? Was it like Clarence or something?
No.
The weird guy that he said did all of it. It was a C name. Curtis or something? It was a C name.
God, I can't remember who it was. It's very funny.
It's incredibly funny.
Yeah, his accomplice.
I was saying on chat today. I always thought after that If I Did It book came out, I always assumed that when he died, he would have something in his will that said whether or not he actually did it. And I know they haven't read his will yet, but I still wonder. Like, I don't know when they read it if it's going to have a public notice that's like, yeah, you know.
He basically admitted to it in that book that he wrote.
Essentially, yeah, but not 100%.
I know that they were... Did it actually get published? Did that ever happen? Or was it just that it exists?
I don't know if it got published. I don't know if it ever got actually picked up.
I know people just have it. Yeah.
Question for both of us. Oh, go ahead.
Nothing.
I still want to know if he did it. Anyway. Question for both of us. What helped you guys most with drawing anatomy and dynamic poses? Do you still use reference when doing so? Yeah, I use reference.
What helped me is just kind of like going with my gut at first. So always doing the initial drawing from my head so that I keep the energy of the initial idea. And if I really need reference, like if I can't do it, like it's something that's like more dynamic, like Street Fighter-y kind of stuff. Like I worked on this Power Rangers crossover with Street Fighter for Hasbro. They were doing like a figure release based off of that Power Rangers fighting game. I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh, those illustrations you did were great.
Thanks. But I did the initial drawing, but then I referenced like pretty heavily like a lot of like the Street Fighter exaggerated poses. And then from there, I have like a figurine that I'll pose. And that's really the most I'll do. Like if it's something like very exaggerated with a lot of like foreshortening and things that I don't want to get wrong.
Yeah.
But as far as coming from scratch, I would just study a lot of that stuff, you know. That's really all you can do. Is like that exists in the world. It's something that you want to be able to do. Just mimic it and commit it to memory and do the study, then draw from your imagination a bunch where you try and apply the knowledge, and hopefully you retain it enough so that you can use it just, on the fly. Because certain things are going to be impossible to reference as you go forward. Like there's a lot of like characters that exist in like the Marvel universe that you can't really get reference for. Human anatomy. You just kind of have to understand like foreshortening and things.
Yeah. When was the point you guys decided to go all out on Steve? What stood out versus other projects? I think it was, well, number one, we had a ton of fun doing it, and we were like, this feels funner than the stuff we're forcing ourselves to try to do that's more serious. And number two was the response. I think the response is what made us decide to go all in on it, because
Yeah.
we'd both had like popular things online, popular streams or popular images, or David had a couple of viral things like his Ninja Turtles at that point, but the Steve thing like traveled quicker than almost anything. And we were just like, whoa, like a simple little relatable comic in a style that takes 20 seconds, like destroyed in terms of viewership, things that we were doing that took so much more effort.
Yeah.
And we were like, this is crazy.
I had been doing comics like here and there. Like I had been doing like Starvale-ish stuff, and I did a
Andrew
like
Jackson.
Andrew Jackson. I did a really brief comic called The Insecure Warrior, which is really like the precursor to Steve in a lot of ways. That was like the kernel of an idea that turned into, like just not so much like that's Steve, but it's just I did that, and I remember thinking like when Dan and I were talking about like making fun of fantasy stuff, I was like, oh, this is that. Like let's just make that. Like let's just together make a comic. And we just were spitballing ideas and just having fun. It wasn't like super structured or anything at the time. We were just on Skype talking back and forth, coming up with things. And then
it's like if
those blew up.
It was the combination of like, if we're this depressed sitting inside painting all day, then how depressed are these monsters we're painting that sit in the cave for 10,000 years? It's like that weird moment is kind of what made it stand out, where we were like, oh, these are actually very relatable. But it was a nice kind of eye-opening experience just to see what's actually important with things that you produce, because I feel like it's really easy when you're an artist to just think that that's the only thing you can do is just make pretty pictures, and that you're like, okay, like that's what everybody I know who's an artist likes, like that's what I see all the time on ArtStation and Twitter and Instagram, so that's my goal, like, and then you just kind of put yourself in a box and think that if I'm not an incredible, very well-versed, fundamental master artist person, then I'm not going to really succeed. And then just doing something that's like simple and relatable, like making, self-deprecating comics and things, like just stuff that everybody kind of understands, and having that blow up is just like, there's way more to this than just this one little niche of being a fantasy artist. It's like I could do this other thing. Like, oh, that's interesting. It's also the first thing that completely got out of the bubble that we were both in, because like even popular stuff, like I'll take Dave's Ninja Turtles. Up to that point, that was probably the most viral thing he'd done. That was really popular, very popular with other artists, and very popular with other people that liked art stuff and nerd culture and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles things like that. It was extremely popular in that group, but it didn't really break out into like mainstream normie people. But Steve did, because
I would actually say that one did, but the problem with that, like, yes, the Ninja Turtle stuff was like the first thing that was on like Reddit and on like other stuff, but it's still not mine. It's like just living in the shadow of the Ninja Turtles. Like, it's not like you're not like striking like a personal nerve with another human being necessarily.
Well, I meant like people who saw the Ninja Turtle stuff were mostly fans of Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, but the Steve stuff, there's people who refer to it as that skeleton comic, because some of the fans of it don't even know what a Lich is or Dungeons and Dragons. It went to way out of the bubble, to the point where people they thought it was funny and they were reading it and they didn't even know the context of what it was parodying. Like, it went way out of the bubble in a way that like I hadn't seen anything else we'd done do. But yeah, it was weird. It was a weird thing to have go around as much as it did. Dan, if you put Steve Lichman into AI in the style of Daniel Warren, do you think you'd get a Steve comic in the style of Daniel Warren Johnson? Yeah, for sure.
Of course you would.
Of course, 100%. And you should do it. You should absolutely do it. I've
I
seen
like
quite a few
JR
artists.
Toxin over here saying color. JR,
There you
don't
go.
tell me what to fucking do. Instant ban. Instant
You're
ban.
gone. You're out of here. I've seen quite a few artists from African countries make a career doing work for Magic the Gathering. That kind of gives me hope that I can make art into a career. If they did it, what's my excuse? I mean, yeah.
Well, sometimes things can be just the right amount of comfortable where you don't work super hard to get out. You know?
Yep.
Think about like an animal caught in a trap. Like just fighting its way out. Like sometimes
of an
having a
animal.
lot of adversity is a great motivator to do something.
Now think of an animal caught in a trap, padded with pillows, with nice food. Might be a pretty,
It's
You're not
the
gonna
thing
get
of
out.
like where you go like I would love to do this and the other person's thinking I have to do something or I don't have a life.
Oh. This is interesting. I didn't know this. This is from Eric. OJ won the court case but lost the civil case, so his ex-wife's family got the rights to his book. For the title, If I Did It, they made the if very tiny, so on shelves it's OJ's face saying, I did it. That's very good. That's excellent. Santana asks, do you increase and decrease the size of the brush to control the value with this brush?
You can. But it's more of just like a line thing. Like if I want to do like a very intricate character, then I go a little bit smaller with the brush. And if I'm doing like hair and clouds and those sort of things and just broader details, then I'll make it a lot larger. That's really it.
Manser asks, do you guys find that freelance is still abundant as it was several years ago? Seems like I know very few full-time freelancers. I mean, I've never known a ton of full-time freelancers. Most people I knew freelancing were doing it on the side of another job.
Yeah, I'm probably one of the only ones that's been doing it as long as I have. Like
Yeah.
I don't like I've been in this industry for nearly 20 years and I've been freelance that whole time. And I can't really think of another person that's like that besides like, I don't know, like Craig Mullins or something.
Especially
I
in
don't even know
America.
if he's full freelance.
Yeah, especially in America because of how healthcare works. Like, if you're full-time freelance and you're not married to somebody with healthcare, then you have to pay for your own, and it gets wildly out of control. So, like, I've known people that are freelancers that move to other countries from America just to keep doing freelance. Like, but yeah, there's never been that many full-time freelancers. There's been people who freelance, but most of them usually have another steady job that they're doing underneath it.
Would you guys ever want to
Whether-
make a comic with more serious human drama?
Yes.
That's what this is.
Yeah, he's doing it right now, guys. Just because it's
Yeah.
in space doesn't mean it's not. Just it's a cat and a little marionette boy doesn't mean it's not in human drama, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna mute my screen. Hey.
As for whether or not there's more or less freelance now than there was a few years ago, I'd say there's probably more. I don't know. Some studios have closed, but a lot of new stuff's opened up, so I don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of feel like it's weird from somebody in my position to talk about that stuff because, like, for me and what I've established, like I said, like over the course of 20 years, like I don't really have any problem getting freelance because I've just existed for so long in this space and cultivated a decent amount of clients that if I needed it, I could always ask like Marvel or somebody or some game studio. But I don't think that there is less. I don't know. I think it's hard. I think that's mostly what I understand of other people talking about it. Is just that it's hard to maintain it, and it's hard to continually bring in new clients and also balance work and your life and whatever else. Like, yeah, that stuff is hard no matter what.
I also think that it was more, the freelance was all in one place a while ago. Like there was like conceptart.org and other websites that like the community was more centralized like 10 years ago, even to the point where everybody could kind of see what everybody was doing, and now it's exploded out across like probably 20 or 30 different platforms, and there's not really a big community like there used to be. So like even though everyone's doing lots of freelance, there isn't one place where everybody's posting it, so you don't see it as much, so it might feel like it's reduced. But
I just realized I didn't do that part. Shit, I gotta go back into Krita.
What's the name of my stream? I'm just at Dan Warren on YouTube. That's my channel. I stream pretty much every day for like 5 to 10 hours, and yeah. What's new and cool? Am I working on any movies at the moment? No, I'm working pretty exclusively for a company called Meat Bun, doing a big push on some video game stuff. I'm doing some Elden Ring stuff and some stuff for Square Enix on Final Fantasy right now. Me and Dave are working on our next Steve book, and that's basically what I've got going on. Mobart says, hey guy, haven't checked the Discord in a while, but I hope you're doing well.
He was talking to that guy in the chat.
Oh, I thought he meant hey guys.
Guys.
Hey Dave. White Knight says, not sure if this is true, but did you hear about the rated R TMNT last Ronin movie that was confirmed? No.
I heard a little bit about it, but I don't know any details.
I'd see that.
Yeah, I mean, cool.
Yeah.
I don't know how bad I need to see a rated R Ninja Turtles movie. I don't know if that's like what I think is the coolest part of the Ninja Turtles is when they're fucking sick serious.
Yeah.
But
the Todd McFarlane Ninja Turtles.
Well, it's like, you know,
the Todd McFarlane Ninja Turtles would be the TMNT. We should.
It's like what Kevin Eastman wanted to do, you know? Like Kevin Eastman was always like gritty, dark. Like it's kind of how, like speaking of my portraits, like when I did that, he reached out to me, and he was really complimentary about my take on the turtles, and you could tell that he really liked the gritty, real, you know, serious Ninja Turtle stuff. And I think maybe, like, to him, a lot of the stuff that happened to his property was maybe just outside the direction he was hoping it would go in. So, like, all of the, you know, gritty reboot stuff is, like, what he's always wanted. So,
well,
I don't know. Maybe it'll be good.
I used to think I was biased because I grew up loving it, but I don't think I'm biased on it anymore. I think that first Ninja Turtles movie is like the perfect tone for that IP, and I think it like that it's almost perfect.
Yeah, I like that type of tone where it's just like a little serious.
Yeah, just enough humor to keep it fun, but also there's stakes and like people can die, and it's like it feels lived in and gritty and dangerous, but it's still fun enough that you can enjoy it.
Yeah, it's enough for kids, and it's like that great balance of kids and adults.
Plus, you get a figure. He made the IP as a parody of Daredevil, and then it got popular, and he started investing in it more. And then the movie came out, and the movie at the time was the biggest independent IP adaptation ever. Like, it made more money than any other indie IP in the history of cinema. And like, that must have been insane. That must have been totally insane for him. And then, yeah, to just watch where it went after that, it must have been crazy.
That's why you got to be careful who you sell your property to. If you care about that stuff, like I think he clearly does.
Yeah. I wonder if he likes any of the beat 'em up games. I hope so.
You know what was cool to see? They're from Peter Laird and
Northampton, right?
yeah, they're from Massachusetts. So like if you go out to Northampton, you go to that like underground mall. There's a huge mural of the Ninja Turtles that they did, that Kevin Eastman painted.
That's really great.
I saw
that. Rakian says, I wonder if AI, quote, art is used in the entertainment industry. If yes, how's it affecting artist jobs? Right now, it's not being used a ton. Some people are using it to come up with concepts. Like they'll generate a bunch of prompts to come up with silhouettes and character design ideas, and then they'll take those and hand them to an art team and be like, we like these 3 that we generated, design. Then they'll hire artists to design stuff based on the prompts. I don't think anyone's using the actual art generated by them. They're just using them for ideation.
There is, but it's all like mobile games and stuff like that. Like it's not like really high stakes kind of projects. It's not like you're,
I'm talking like
using AI.
Yeah, I'm talking like movies and games. I guess mobile games would. I would be
shocked if movies weren't using it. I'm guessing movies are using it.
I'm assuming movies are gonna use the 3D AI stuff a lot. I'm assuming. I don't think the concept art teams are using it. I think they're using it for idea generation, because I know a few people that are doing that, but they're not using the artist finals.
I would be shocked if they weren't. Knowing what I know about like movie turnaround stuff and concept art, and just like the shortcuts people were using just in the past couple like decades was pretty ridiculous to me. Like I would see it and be like, okay, clear, this is just like photos with like a bunch of like it was like the quickest way to turn something around. So those just same people who are working are definitely using AI.
Just to be clear, what I'm saying is they're not showing any of it. They're using it for idea generation, and then they're having concept art teams do stuff after the fact. I'm sure they're using it to make stuff, but they're not going to be putting AI art in like the art books. That's
I don't know. I genuinely don't know.
I know people working with it right now on some movie and game stuff that say that they're told that they have to use it in the early stages because it's so fast, and then when they come up with something they like, they have the artists design something based on the AI art, so they don't have to show the AI art.
Yeah, so, but I mean, we can't speak absolutely about it, though.
No, I can't speak absolutely.
I mean, like, there's no way that some of the scummier things that I've seen in terms of just, like, knocking stuff out quickly, like, I would be shocked if those people didn't see AI and go, thank fucking God, I can make more money and bump this out quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have no proof of that. I'm sure it's happening, though. It would make sense, especially with the photo bashing phenomenon from 10 years ago and how bad that got. But I know for sure they are using it, because I know people that are. So
yeah, I mean, like the way that all this stuff has gone in general, though, is, like, forget about AI. Like, just the prevalence of theft and things in the industry right now is very. I mean, it's not like it's concerning to me, but it's shitty. It's like when I see it, I'm just like, God, like, you don't have any pride in your work or anything. Like that Magic the Gathering stuff that came out, just like using Donato's work and all.
The Batman thing, fucking.
Yeah, the Batman comic.
That was the most egregious one I've ever seen. That was
that was straight up AI.
Yeah, that was insanity.
Like, there's no way. Like, you could never convince me that
Yeah.
that wasn't AI. Like,
No, it
people, like the
yeah.
people who are lazy and just want the money and they don't really care about, you know, having any pride in what they're doing necessarily. Like, a
Hmm.
lot of them are just leaning into it, and like whether they're using it as the complete image or just painting on top of stuff or using it as reference, they're using it because I see it
Yeah.
all the time. Like, there's a lot of people who go like viral on Instagram. One person that I saw just recently, I can't remember who it was, and it doesn't really matter, but it was just some person who was doing like these very detailed, like colored pencil drawings of like cute animals and stuff, but
Hmm.
like animated animals. And I was looking at their work and I was like, this looks AI. I was like, is this AI? I was like, it looks so shitty like AI. And I went through their stuff because I was like, it looks like they're actually drawing this, but it looks like AI. I was like, what is it? And then I found, eventually when I was looking through their videos, I was like, oh, they're referencing an AI image and doing a
Yeah.
colored pencil real drawing of it. But they're like
Um,
looking at it like a reference. And I was like, that's why it looks so weird.
that's so scary. Referencing AI.
Yeah, because there was
Fans,
like tons of
genuine
broken
fans.
stuff.
Yeah.
Well, then I gotta open more
Machines.
stuff.
Humans imitating machines imitating humans.
Yeah, that stuff is like, I don't know. It's very sad.
Yeah.
Like, don't do
Aaron,
that. Like, just look at real animated movies and shit and pause the screen. It's like, cause I don't know, like it doesn't look better. It just like it looks like AI. Like AI has such a look.
Aaron Koji says, "What's the most you've spent on a hobby?" That depends if collecting antiques is a hobby. Because if it is,
And if time is currency.
yeah, exactly. If time is currency, then I've spent the most on video games, for sure. Who like, that would be the answer for I think everyone I know. If time is a currency, if time's not a currency, I've spent the most on antiques, and it's probably close to six figures.
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea what I've spent the most on.
I'm gonna guess. I don't know, collectibles like your Guyver busts and shit.
Probably that stuff.
Yeah. Or like when you went, I don't think you spent as much as your Guyver statues when you went through a brief like wine phase and like Scotch phase.
No, I'm not in a Scotch phase. That's just what I drink.
Also, calling Scotch a hobby is very funny to me. That's just my hobby. I just drink expensive Scotch. I'm not an alcoholic. It's my hobby.
Well, the hobby would be finding the best stuff and
The
whatever.
best stuff. Yeah.
You know, like all that stuff is just
Would
experiential.
going out to fancy restaurants be considered a hobby? Because we've both spent a lot on that.
Yeah, I think like I'm more into, like at this point, I'm more into like experiential stuff. So if
Mhm.
there's, like a really nice restaurant, then I'd be like, okay, well, splurge on that.
Yeah.
But outside of that sort of thing, I don't really buy anything anymore. Like, I feel like that was part of my anxiety, and like a lot of like my anxiety manifested in just like buying stuff, or like throwing money at that and thinking it'll solve the problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, like a lot of like the Guyver statues and like different stuff like that, like that whole thing is more like anxiety related. It's not really a
Yeah.
hobby. Like, it's just kind of like me dealing with stress in a weird way. I was like, just buy things, and ooh. Yeah,
Probably
everybody talks about that.
Prince. Like we both have a James Jean problem.
Or did. I don't have a problem so much anymore because a lot of the new
Yeah,
stuff I wasn't like crazy about collecting,
me neither.
but
Um,
I have a lot of
yeah,
that.
print a lot of prints. Um, but those are actually like a pretty good investment. The return on those is like usually double or triple.
Oh yeah, if you want to sell
Yeah.
like some of the really good ones,
Some
they
other
go
ones I
for
have
quite a
are
bit.
like going for a crazy amount. But
Well, I
yeah.
had ones that I bought for like maybe $600 or something that are worth like 4,000.
Well, I don't think he's ever released a print for 600, so you probably have an even better return. He did 100, 200, then 500.
Oh, was like the Zodiac one like 500?
The Chinese Zodiac,
Yeah.
that was 200.
Oh, was it? Okay, well that one's like
Yeah.
thousands of dollars.
Yeah,
I
that one's
think
crazy.
one of the ones was a lot. Like I went through and I was just like, just for the hell of it, I was like, I'll just look up what this collection's worth.
I
And I was
think
like, well, I
Wave
have a
2,
lot of money.
the blue girl in the boat with the orange behind it, I think that one goes for like 6,800 right now.
Yeah,
Yeah. But anyway, so those are probably the hobbies we've spent the most on: antiques, art and collectibles, and
food.
food and alcohol. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, like Kim and I went to Per Se, which is the most expensive restaurant in the world in New York
My
when
cousin works there.
we did not have the money to go there. We just
Yeah.
went because I was like, I am irresponsible. Let's just spend all this money. That was a while ago, and it was cool, but I was shocked.
Some- Sometimes it's fun to waste money if you're wasting it on other people. Like like in Bali, like half the instructors for this workshop we didn't show up because of a flight delay. And the people that had paid to come there to do the classes weren't going to get to see them, and like the whole reason they came was to see these artists who were coming. So it was just me and Dave and I think James and Alejandro, and we were like, let's just go, let's find the fanciest seaside restaurant in this part of Bali. Let's rent out a table for all 40 students and let's just go and just do an all expenses paid night of alcohol and seafood on the ocean. Just let's do something memorable for these people so it doesn't totally suck. And like, I don't know, stuff like that I feel like is worth it just because it's a cool thing that you get to look back on.
But that
Dumb
wasn't
things
even
like that.
expensive.
It wasn't that expensive. For us at the time it wasn't crazy, but it definitely was money.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm just saying for feeding all of those people, I think we paid like
Oh
just
yeah.
a few $100s.
It was more than that, but we each paid a few $100s. I'll put it that
Well,
way.
yeah, yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, it was about 1,000, but we fed like 30 something people. I haven't heard of the Batman AI thing. Now I want to find it. Maddie, you're in for a ride. That is one of the craziest, most egregious things I've ever seen someone publish. It's unbelievable. There's like a photo of Iggy Pop in there. There's photos of Ben Affleck in there. It's ooh, oh boy,
I mean, it's more
that
just
was
like the inconsistency of stuff. It's like you really think somebody did the Joker just like wrong? Like
he drew him in 5 styles.
yeah, like he looks different all the time. Like this
He was
isn't
trying to
one
say that
person making this.
he was trying to say that the Joker could be anybody. It was thematic, so he kept changing the Joker's face so everybody could see themselves in the character.
Oh, that's true.
There it is. Hmm.
Interesting.
Did either of us guys know Ed Piskor? We knew of him.
Yeah, I
We didn't have
didn't.
like a personal relationship.
I think I messaged him like maybe like a decade ago when I first saw his comic because it really his uh what's it called, the hip hop
Yeah.
well, whatever that one's called. I really loved his use of texture in things on the pages to make it look like a really old comic, and I was big into doing that for Starvale. And
Mm.
I think I reached out to him about that. I was like, that whatever you're doing is like ridiculous. It's so cool.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
We didn't know him
That's
though super closely.
yeah. That's not great.
Let's see. Nostalgic for the halcyon days of digital art in 2014. It was a good time. There was problems then too. Remember that though. Don't get lost and think it's all doomerism now. Things weren't perfect then either. What kind of antiques? I think basically my whole house is full of antiques. Like my kitchen table is a 14-foot antique table I pulled out of a church basement in Philly. Um, Everything in my kitchen is mostly antique. I have two huge antique stained glass windows I installed in my studio. I have an antique book collection. I have like probably 50 first edition books now. Um, I just have a ton of antique furniture. I don't know. Once a month, I go and I check out a new antique shop and I just grab a coffee and walk around and look for something. And sometimes I find nothing. Sometimes I find really cool stuff. I found a whole set of Minton tiles, which I paid like $200 for. They ended up being worth like 5 grand. Like sometimes you find something that's a really good find where they don't even know what they have, and those are like the fun moments. Like me and Dave talked about last time, wheeling and dealing, wheeling and dealing. It's so fun, scrounging, wheeling and dealing, scrounging around an old antique shop, finding something you know or think might be valuable, and then wheeling and dealing for it. It's great.
Yeah,
But
the whole process of trying to get what you want for less is
great.
it's very exciting. Like I
By the time I bought the two stained glass windows I have, he said he'd throw in a clawfoot tub if I bought both of them. And I said, "Well, what's the net worth on the clawfoot tub?" And he said, "It's about $1,000, and I'll give it to you for free if you buy both stained glass windows." And I said, "Well, I don't want the clawfoot tub. I already have a tub. But you basically just told me you'll give me $1,000." So I walked around and I was like, "I want this Russian icon. I want these two antique books. I want this full set of copper cookware." And I was like, "This adds up to $1,200." I was like, "That's pretty damn close to the clawfoot tub." And he was like, "Okay, but you have to buy both windows." And I was like, "You got yourself a goddamn deal." So it's just fun. It's just fun to do that. I don't know why. It's so fun
was it
to
feels like
deal
you're
with.
getting away with something, like you won. You're like,
Yeah,
yes, I won. Yeah, that worked.
yeah. I love doing that. So once a month, I always go to an antique shop. I try to go to a brand new one and yeah, just look for stuff. But
Uh, we went to like when we first kind of settled in a place here. Kim and I went to like a consignment shop to look for furniture, and
mm,
there was this like dresser that we liked, this big one. And I remember, I remember like going to the counter, and you could tell that like people like there's definitely like a big antiques culture on the East Coast, the U.S., like all around like
yeah.
Massachusetts and stuff. But like, I don't know if there is so much here. I'm sure there is in Denver because I see a lot of antique shops. But like, the feeling I got from the dude when I was like, okay, I want this. I was like, can you? I want this dresser, but can you do it like this much? And he was just like, what? And then he had to like call the guy who was like consigning there to like get a deal on it,
Hmm.
and ended up getting it for less. But yeah, that is the best part. It's just being like, hey, can you
Yeah,
do this? Can you meet
I
me
did it.
halfway? Can you blah 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 blah? And when you get the thing that's something they don't know about, like that was always the best of. Like my dad had an antique shop when I was a kid called the Brass Hut, and it was this tiny place, and he collected a lot of like lighting, things like that. And he knew like everything about old lamps and like what was valuable, like down to like the smallest parts. So whenever we went to an antique shop, he would just have an eye for that sort of thing. And it was something that like he was versed in, but like nobody else was for the most part. and he could just basically like get free money like from all that stuff because nobody knew what they had. So, like you know, certain chains on certain pull string lights are like worth way more than others, and like little things like that are just weird knowledge that you have to really be into that sort of thing to know. And
Yeah.
I learned the rush of doing that from that part of my childhood, and my dad would have me negotiate rates and things on stuff, and I feel like that
So
definitely helped
awesome.
me go into being a freelancer. I think I used a lot of that in like negotiating rates and things with clients.
There's jumping off what Dave said a minute ago. There's antiques all over America, but for some reason the East, not for some reason, I'll explain why. The East Coast has,
A bunch of
and
old mansions
Chicago.
and stuff.
Well, yeah, that's what it is. The reason the antiques scene here is so crazy is because 1800s New England was the richest part of the entire world because of the whaling industry. It was richer than any other country in the world. Just New England, not even America. Just New England. And New Bedford, which is now a slum, was the wealthiest city like in the entire world because of the whaling industry. It's where Moby Dick takes place. And these people built these insane mansions, and like all the railroad tycoon people went to Newport, Rhode Island, and
Like the
built these
Vanderbilts and
crazy.
stuff.
Yeah, they all built these crazy estates. And then when whaling was outlawed, that whole industry collapsed. And what happened was all these insanely rich houses and all this accumulated wealth and all these imported goods from all over the world that these rich people had all got auctioned off and started circulating out into the greater New England area. And they're mostly all still here. So you'll find crazy shit sometimes, like super valuable stuff, sometimes from other countries that just ended up in some antique shop because it got ripped out of a mansion at an auction 100 years ago. And somebody kept it in their attic and died, and it ended up in a consignment store. So there's just tons of crazy stuff to find here if you know where to look. But yeah. Um, Kim's Kim's hobby is ongoing. It's cooking. Groceries get expensive for a family of four, especially when you cook good quality food, Kim.
Yeah, Kim's always making really good stuff, and she needs to. It's like she can't have the same thing
Mm-hmm.
days in a row. Like that's just, I don't know. She just grew up with family that cooks, so they always had variety, I guess. But yeah, so Kim's always making new stuff and trying new things, and it's all really
Hip hop,
good.
hip hop family tree. There you
Hip
go.
hop family tree, yeah.
Arcdion says, "How do you deal with the inner voice that tries to devalue your work and says everything you do is pointless?"
I don't. I like. It's so funny. Like I'm so glad I don't have a lot of that stuff that like other artists have. Like I don't think low of myself in that respect. Like I I can see very clearly that there's a lot of artists who are the same level as me or whatever that are making money, and I go, oh, okay, I can do it too. Like if they can do it, I can do it. So I just kind of look at it objectively, like, you know, I can see their skill level and I can see what they're doing, and then I just go, I might not be happy with the final results of whatever I worked on, but you're gonna pay me for the hours that I put in. Like I don't care. Like I need to be paid for the time. Like my time is worth money. And
this is one thing
they'll
me
like
and
it.
Dave are very opposite on. But yeah, you
Yeah,
there?
like it's a funny thing to like get you know, like clients to agree to like large sums of money for projects, but you can't think about it like interpersonally. Like a lot of times I feel like you get your own perspective on yourself, and you try to put that onto the work or something, or like how people are hiring you. It's like, because I look at my stuff and I go, there's so much I could improve on, like so much. And I know that stuff, you know, like I can see all the failings and things. But this person's hiring me because they think I'm capable. So they think I'm capable, and I'm going to be compensated for that. And depending on the type of job that it is, regardless of my own self-worth, there are certain jobs that pay more than other jobs because of just what they're for. Like, for instance, I'm working on the Diablo 4 marketing. They set aside a certain budget for stuff like that. And if you don't ask for a reasonable amount of money, then it's not like they had it already like planned out. Like, we're okay with spending X amount on this stuff. That's budgeted for. So regardless of what you think of yourself, if they're hiring you to do that stuff, you have to ask for the appropriate amount of money in order for you to get the budget that's allocated for you. It's like, so if you like talk down on yourself, then it doesn't really matter. It's like, even the people that you're working with, if you say a rate that's reasonable for that job, you know, or you downplay yourself, it's not like they are judging you or something. Like, they're not. They're just also working a job. And the worst thing that can happen is they say no. You know, like that's really it. And you have to, if you're going to sell yourself, especially if you're a freelancer, so much of it comes down to like self-confidence. Like, even if it's not real, like I had to fake it for like a long time to just say like, oh yeah, no, I am this thing. I am good enough to do this stuff. And so you just kind of say it over and over and project it out by what you ask for rates and things. And then eventually, it's not like you believe it, but you get comfortable. You know, you're just like, oh, okay, this is what it is.
I'm still faking it. I'm still trying to shut the voice up in my head constantly. But it's like, you do end up in weird scenarios like Dave's talking about. Like, I had a dream come true this year, and I could barely even enjoy it because the thing in the head was like, you suck, this is all fake, this is a mistake, this shouldn't be happening to you, this should be happening to some, like, I like got to work with Square Enix, and like Yoshi P saw my stuff and liked it and was like, give this guy a thing. And I was like, that's insane. And in my head the whole time I'm like, this is a fluke. This is only because I'm working for this company. This is only because I have friends that work at that company. This is like, they're just being nice to you. They don't actually believe it. Like, I have all that in my head constantly, and I'm constantly trying to shut it up. Honestly, the only thing that works for me is overstimulating my brain. Like right now, I'm getting a lot of work done because I started streaming again. I'm streaming, I'm listening to music, and I'm talking to chat. And that combination of things is enough activity that my brain can't also think. There's too much going on for me to have an internal dialogue with myself. So that's the only way I've been able to shut it up. It's either that or antidepressants. And I don't, for me personally, I don't recommend doing that because it fucks with your work ability. But yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, it's just repetition. Like, I've done it so many times, and I've been doing it for so long now that I don't even think about it. Like, I just don't care. It's like I just want to do work. I'm not a big like money person. I never really like thought about it that much up until having kids. But like, yeah, it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't really faze me so much, just because it's like, I just want to do a good job. That's it. Like, rates, you know, if it's for a big company or anything, that's like, if you let yourself see yourself kind of like compared against this big thing that has a big name that's maybe you don't associate yourself with at all, it's like, why would I be here? It's like, then that fucks you up. Like, you have to think about it more as like person to person. It's like, I'm just working with another person who just happened to have whatever circumstances in their life, their own trajectory, they've ended up in this position. It's like, but they're no different than me. They're no better than me. They're just another human being. And for some reason, they like what I'm doing. And I just, you know, I tried to have like humanizing conversations, like never like so work oriented or all about the job. It's like I ask people about their life, you know, people I work with. I'm like, yeah, how are your kids? That's whatever. And then just humanize everybody in these places that potentially could be, you know, like intimidating. Like for the longest time early on, I would just feel like, oh my God, like I have to deliver this crazy thing because this client's really special. And then I'll overthink, overwork, fuck it up. I'm not loose. I'm not like, you know, people say like in the pocket, like just working, just like making something that's actually good. It's just for me. It's like if I'm so focused on them and what it means to be with them, then that can just totally derail any good thing that might have happened had you been like relaxed and loose. Like it still happens with me. Like not so much where I mess up, but like I'll overwork things in some sense just because, you know, it needs to be a certain caliber to look like it's work that's appropriate for marketing or something. But like I need to, like for instance on the Diablo stuff, like I need to be comfortable working those jobs. So like thankfully I'm getting hired again and again for them, like just to do stuff for Diablo, and like I'm able to get slightly more comfortable because it's becoming normal. And when things like that happen, then I'm able to like really develop and start doing things that are actually good, as opposed to like doing things because I want approval. Like once it becomes normal, I'm just there, I'm just working. So then I stop thinking about it at all. I'm just like, oh yeah, you know, I've been doing this for months, so of course. And this isn't special anymore. And then when it's not special anymore, but I still am who I am and I want to do good work, it comes out so much better.
One thing I like to do to help put things in perspective like that, read about successful people that have similar issues or similar thought patterns that you're having, and read what they write about it. Like I only have 2 quotes like written down in anywhere in my home, and they're both from Teddy Roosevelt. One's the In the Arena one. I think that one's amazing, where it's like, even if you try and fail, it's basically, you know, that's still better than to be some pathetic person who doesn't try at all. Yeah. And then the other one, this one's my favorite one he ever wrote, which is black care rarely sits behind a rider whose pace is fast enough. Which is, if you're doing enough, if you're constantly filling your schedule with things to push and grow and trying new things and exerting yourself, you're not going to have time for your brain to be depressed, or as much time. So it's like when you sit still and you let the thoughts kind of consume you, that's when it's like a feedback loop. And
yeah, idle hands.
Yeah. But I do think, for me, like I was saying earlier, just overstimulating yourself while you're working, for me, chat, music, streaming live, putting enough on your plate that the thoughts don't even have room to start to grow is one way, but it's gonna be different for everybody.
Yeah, like quite literally all of my bad habits, they surface their head when I'm not busy. Like if I'm
it's free time. Yeah,
like that's definitely my number one thing, where I'm like, I need to, like, it's hard because like Kim's in the chat here, like my wife, and like I think like, oh, I should relax, you know, like I should just chill out and take a breather and just kind of do something else. And like, as long as that something else is like all encompassing, or just, you know, something like fun that's fully engaging, whatever, like then that's fine. But like, you know, like if we go on a bike ride or something, obviously I'm not doing anything else. But in terms of just like telling myself like, oh, you should relax because people relax. I always fall into my bad habits then. And I've like started to kind of come back to the thing of I just need to schedule stuff. I need to like stay busy in some respect. So like I have like I just started talking to a personal trainer to just have like stuff lined up. Just having like, oh, you're doing this day or whatever. And having things planned. I think like that will help curb a lot of that.
Yeah. I think like I tried basically 6 months ago. I was like, I'm going to completely pack my schedule and I'm going to focus on getting work done and losing weight. And I completely stacked my day where I have no free time at all. And I'm on the 6th month of that now, and I've lost 60 pounds, and I'm completing paintings at a rate that I wasn't able to before. And I'm streaming again, and like there's less room in my life for people that were negative distractions, and like it's been working out pretty good. And I think sometimes you just have to do that kind of self-audit and be like, okay, if I'm waking up at this time and going to bed at this time, and I'm taking this much time out of my day to like cook and eat, I've got this many hours left. If I want to do these things, how much time do I have to allocate? And then just kind of stick to it as hard as you can. Yeah.
Well, I think like for me, I realized that it's not so important that I relax and like watch a movie. It's more that my relaxation is around an activity. Like going out. Like I told John, a family friend here in Colorado, I was like, let's go like do something. Like let's like go, you have a gun. You wanted me to go to the range with you. I was like, let's do that, and then let's go out and get like drinks after or something. And so that's what we're doing on Sunday. And it's just like stuff like that is what I need to do, and not so much chilling out and doing nothing. Like I need to chill out and do something that's relaxing. You know what I mean though? Like it's am I saying this right? Yeah. Like it's just like you have the, like at least for me, I have this weird idea that I should be doing things that normal people do, where they like veg out. Well, but if I do that stuff, I get fucking nuts.
Most people that are vegan, this is the thing. This is the dot that isn't connecting for most people. Most people that are vegging out are doing it after a 9 to 5 at a job that they kind of hate. Yeah. when you're doing a job you're passionate about, that you actually like and that you enjoy, and your identity is tied up with the betterment of that profession, like you're doing, that you don't have the same need to come home after your job and veg out to recuperate, because you haven't been fighting the urge to quit a job you hate all day, every day, 40 hours a week for however many years you've been there. Like I understand someone working that kind of job, or working third shift at a hospital or something, coming home and going, you know what, I need to play a video game for a couple hours just to reboot my brain because I fucking hate my life and I hate my lifestyle and I have to do this job to make money and I just need to chill for a minute and just not turn my brain off. I absolutely get it if that's your scenario, but I also think it's completely reasonable. It completely makes sense to me that you don't have that, Dave, because that's not the life you're living. It doesn't, it's not a necessity for some people the way it is for others, because you don't necessarily hate the situation you're in.
No, it's only really a necessity when I'm like at the end of a really intense deadline and I feel like super stressed, and I'm like, like the last Diablo deadline I had just compounded and was weird and just was changing a lot, and it's a high pressure job, whatever. Like it's not like it's that bad, but it's just like a lot all at once, and like when that happens, then I'm kind of like, all right, hey, do something else. One of my favorite things we put in the second Indiana Jones sorry, reading chat. One of my favorite things we put in the second Steve book was this thing Dracula says,
which is out to his butler Alfred in the mirror. He says, am I hungry or am I just bored? And it's like, that's like, I've had that feeling so many times where it's like, I'm not doing anything. Maybe I should eat. People eat. That's a thing people do. So maybe I'm not, maybe I'm just hungry. Ordering a pizza is going to McDonald's is doing something. I'm leaving the house. It's an activity. Yeah, it's like your brain will trick you into all this dumb shit when you're bored enough. Like, you know.
Well, it's also like we've talked about this in the past, but it's like that thing of, like you start to think like, I'm gonna make my plans around like eating, or just like, you know, just this like this is what people do. They go to restaurants and they eat, and that's socializing. And like I was like, okay,
I'm a serial killer. I'm Dexter. This is what people do.
Yeah, it's like so like I don't know, like you just get into bad habits.
I used to do that. My thing was never restaurants with that. Ordering food was. Where I'm like, I'm bored. I guess I'll order a pizza. Yeah. But it was never restaurants for me. For me, it was bars where I'd go. People would be like, you know, let's all go out to this bar. And I hate going to bars. I've always hated it. I'm not a big drinker. And I'd be like, sure. And I'd just go there because I thought that's what humans were supposed to do. And I was like, maybe I'll enjoy this someday. Like, you know, clearly I'm supposed to be doing this. And eventually it was just like, no.
Well, when Dan and I were young, that was like when we were bored, it was just let's go eat.
Yeah,
it's like all we did.
The first thing we did when I got my license, because I got mine before Dave, the first thing we did was go to Burger King and get rodeo burgers, because we were like, oh man, we finally have access to a car. We can go get rodeo burgers anytime we want, and that's an activity. That's a thing we can do. We did it all the time, because that was a thing. Let's go to 7-Eleven. What are we going to do there? I don't know. Get Slurpees and candy, sit outside. It's something to do that isn't being at home.
Let's eat.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. Yeah. There was a lot of that.
Dude, that's like all we did.
There's nothing else
watch movies.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we hadn't discovered productivity yet. We were just looking for distractions. Yeah. We were just looking for ways to pass the time. We didn't know we could do something with it. Ipo says what happened. Ed Piskor killed himself. Yeah, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
Let's see. Were we talking about the Batman comic with the AI generated script a few years ago that was drawn? No, we're talking about a comic that just came out recently where all the art was done with AI. Dark Matter says, I think antique is a bit general. If you don't mind me asking, what do you find that catches your eye most in antiques? Do you see a pattern or is it random? I like handmade arts and crafts movement stuff, so stained glass with imagery, carved wood that shows scenes, illustrated books with like pen and ink stuff, tiles that when they're put together make a big scene. I like craftsmanship oriented things personally. Most of my antiques are antique books though, because I just love antique books. I love the whole process and the art form of, you know, it's like a perfect form and function in one thing. Like the whole experience of we made the cover look like this, we stamped it with gold, you open it up and this is the front sheet, and like all the illustrations match and all the vignettes play off each other. Like it's just the whole experience is cool.
Yeah,
which is
I'm kind of the same way.
Yeah,
I'm a big book person. I mean, it's one of those things where I just need to stay away from it. I don't need it. And I've been good about that. You know, like if having kids does anything, it just keeps you busy.
Yeah.
So like, I don't do that stuff anymore. Where like we used to always go to like antique bookstores and things and spend way too much money on first edition books, which is something I did a decent amount.
The only side benefit to antiques, especially antique books, is that it's a safer investment than the stock market.
Oh, for sure. It's gonna go up.
It's an investment where your money is safe. If you protect the thing you buy, like the books are only gonna get rarer the older they are, and they're only gonna go up. So
I mean, even like dumb shit like VHS tapes are doing that.
Yeah, it's crazy. My fucking Suikoden 2 disc is worth like $600 now.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff like that, and especially during COVID, like all the rare things like went way up because people were just bored collecting things through eBay and auctions, whatever.
Chow Clip says, "Yo, Dave, thanks for the interview with Anthony." I'm going to say this wrong. Is it Azekwa?
Azekwa, yeah.
Azekwa. I watched it twice, and a lot of it really resonated with me. It helped me out tremendously.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, it's funny. You know what it reminded me of, Dan? I saw like a couple people talking about this, but it reminded me of that like really dumb thing that happened back when people were like, "Why is Dan friends with KK Kentucky?" Where like people were like being, I mean, I don't know how else to say it, just very, very spectrumed about how human relationships work.
Yeah, it was one of the reasons I stepped away from the art community.
It was very stupid, but they were doing that to Anthony.
Why?
Like, how come Dave is interviewing Anthony?
Isn't
and
he,
I was just like,
accomplished?
don't you... Yeah, I mean, like, he's in Nigeria.
Yeah.
And he has a name. He's had a bunch of shows. He's, like, very prolific there. And, I mean, the whole point of that interview is to show you that anybody, you know, regardless of your circumstance, you can find a way to make it. And Anthony had to, like, essentially make his own, like, way to get paid in order to survive. And I also wanted to talk about like so many things were cool about that talk, but one of the ones I liked a lot was like, here's the other side of like crypto shit. Like everybody hates crypto who's, you know, involved in art, like NFT shit and all that. It's like, but for somebody like Anthony, where there's not a lot of opportunity to make money, it's like, and they don't have access to PayPal or any payment platforms. Like crypto, like essentially opened them up to the world in a lot of respects. So like Anthony was able to get payments like for his work through that sort of thing. So it's cool to just hear a different perspective on all that stuff.
It's really sad that people were asking that. I didn't know that.
Also, yeah, no, it's not like a dramatic amount. It was just something that made me laugh. I was like, it made me think back to that stuff. I was like, oh yeah, that's funny.
I don't think we've ever talked about that live. You just mentioned it. I'm wondering if that was ever
we
spoke. Have we?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
We used to talk. We talked about that like a bunch of times back on the old streams.
I know there's specific cases I've never brought up or I've never.
Well, we were talking about like back in the day, there was this whole thing about, you know, like it's like you have to be like famous in order to talk to somebody who's doing something in your art community. It's like, what are you talking about? Like, nobody in the art community is famous or matters. Like I had that experience. Like I think I've talked about this before, but I'm not like huge into art people, not because I like think bad about them or anything like that, but there's that whole, I don't know what you call it, just kind of like uppity side of it, where they like attribute worth to just your success rather than a human being. And one of the times that stood out to me, which was one of like, you know, like you were talking about, like I walked away from talking to people because of that. I had that where I was in San Francisco, and I think I've talked about this on stream. I don't remember, but there was an artist that was at this gallery show, and I knew them, and I talked to them online a bunch, on like forums and whatnot. And I went up to him and I didn't introduce myself. I just kind of like was talking friendly to them, and they were very much like dismissive of me because they didn't recognize me. And I just let them do that because I thought it was funny. And I really liked awkwardness, you know, like, you know, like you like cringe stuff. You like watching cringe. Like, that's how I like doing that in person.
Well,
so
also
anyway,
like seeing who a person really is. You like seeing how they, it's great.
So it was like they were treating me like I wasn't somebody they knew. You know what I mean? And so I didn't matter, and I wasn't as important as all these other artists at this gallery show that they were meeting. And so I just kind of laughed and I walked away. And then like a little bit after that, he ran up to me and he was like, "Oh my God, you Dave?" And I was like, "Yeah, man." And he was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I was like, "Sorry." I was like, "So you just treat people like that?" Like generally? Like, that's so crazy. So that happened to me enough times where I just kind of checked out. I was like, I don't need to meet, like, who am I trying to impress?
Right.
It doesn't matter to me. It's like, I like people. I talk to everybody. Like Dan and I talk to everybody.
Yeah.
Like we've always been that way. We're not shy and just kind of like whatever.
The whole reason I stopped doing interviews and streams and going to events and talking to people in the art community was because this weird phenomenon started happening, and it just got worse. And I didn't care at first because it was anonymous people online, and they were like, "Dan's not as good at art as Dave. Why is Dave talking to Dan?" And then some people would be like, "Well, they grew up together, so Dan's friend by default, LOL." And it's like, okay. And then it turned into, the next step was Dan got invited, because at the time, you got to remember, I wasn't a great artist, but I had the biggest stream out of anybody doing art because I was streaming every day. Like, people
it also
like
wasn't really popular at the time.
Yeah, streaming wasn't a popular thing. So like Bobby Chu would do a stream like once every 3 months, and he'd get more viewers than me on that one stream. But I was the only person streaming every single day for 10 to 14 hours a day. And as a result, I didn't know this at the time, but I wasn't great. I was trying to become great. I was studying every day and bringing people on and talking and trying to figure out how to do art. And I didn't know this at the time, but people at Massive Black and people at other studios in Europe were tuning in and watching because it was a thing they could leave on in the background. And it was either me talking to Dave or me bringing on other people. So as a result, I had all these weird connections because people that were famous, like KK and other people in the art community,
famous in quotes.
In quotes, yeah, in the art community, they were people that other up and comers were looking up to. They were like the luminaries of the industry. I didn't realize that like 80% of these people were listening to my stream every day. So as a result, I didn't know that I had access to all these people to bring on and talk to. And I thought I was making some good friendships because a lot of them seem like really nice people. The next step was, why is Dan getting invited to these events and workshops and coaching things? And it's not because I was a good artist. It was because I had a big stream and I understood marketing and I understood portfolio reviews because I was doing a ton of them. And I gave.
Well, I was gonna say, even if you weren't like, working on a ton of IPs and all this shit, it's like you were good at giving advice to artists.
I gave really good panovers and critiques, and sometimes I would go through. I would do a thing once a week where I would take a day once a week, and I would only do portfolio reviews because it was a way for me to see flaws in my own work. And I would do whole days. I'd go through people's whole portfolio doing panovers and stuff. So that was step 2, is people going, why is Dan getting invited to this instead of me? And then step 3, the thing that made me walk away from all of it, was people that I thought I was friends with in the community were going behind my back to event organizers and saying, why is Dan getting invited to this instead of me? I like Dan and all, but like, you should get rid of him and bring me instead. And when I saw those texts leak from multiple people that I thought were like, I was bringing on regularly that I thought were my friends, I was like, fuck this whole community. Fuck all of these people and fuck all of it. And that was essentially when I stopped all of that. And here I am 8 years later streaming again, but that was essentially why I stopped. So it's like,
that was kind of my bridge too, where I just was like, I mean, I kind of just looked at it like, oh, these are a bunch of fucking losers.
Yeah.
I was like, this is just like a bunch of losers. This is like high school. And it's weird because, like I have friends in life now around me, and it's like, nobody's like that. I don't know what it is about, certain industries or whatever, but for some reason, it's very high schoolish. And or it was. I mean, I'm sure everything is like that to some respect. But like that alone was enough to kind of make me go like, okay, the value I'm looking for isn't really here. Like I need to kind of just go inward a bit and make stuff for me. And like, if the approval I thought I wanted was from people like this, then I don't want it. You know, like I don't want that approval. Like, what do I actually want? Like that was a big like eye-opening experience to just be like, okay, right, this isn't what I'm after. Like I'd rather make things for just people who aren't involved in this. Like I don't want to make art for other artists. I want to make it for people. And that's when like we really got into comics and everything. Like that was the big move. And
that's when I started giving the advice. I started giving advice in all my portfolio reviews. I started only doing college portfolio reviews. I wasn't doing anything online anymore. And the advice I still give today is you're not making art for other artists. You're making it for the audience, which is the rest of the world. So, you know, striving to be as good as your peers and getting inspired by them is great, but you have to get outside that bubble because that bubble will suffocate you. It absolutely will if you don't get out of it.
But it's just a very, like, even if none of the negative stuff happens, like interpersonal stuff, you just are making art for a really small group. Yeah. And there's not even like a future in money from that. Like who are you selling to? You know, like a tiny group of people? Like, I don't know. Just nothing there. Like
the weirdest, I mean, I just want to mention this because I feel like it's the right thing to do. But all those people that I thought I was friends with, that I thought were like coming on and talking to me every day and doing interviews and like audience sharing, and like I was like constantly promoting them, and like those people all talk shit behind our backs. And the one, there's only a handful of people me and Dave ever spoke negatively about, ever. And one of them at the time was Mark Sheff, because I was like, he says tracing is okay. Tracing isn't something you should do. And I took a really strong stance, and I was like, this is bad advice. And he reached out to me and he was like, hey man, we can disagree about this and like not be enemies. And I was like, okay, but I really disagree. And like, that was one of the only public things I'd said against anyone. And then like, out of all those people, Mark reached out to me a month later and he was like, I got a great job for you if you want to take it. It's working on a Transformers movie in Boston. My friend is hiring and I think you'd be great for it. And do you want the job? And I was like, you just saved my life, dude. Because that was like right after that, getting through the middle stream me and Dave did about our lives falling apart. That was like a month after that. And he like threw me a lifeline. And he was the only one who ever did something like that for me, ever. And he was the one person I like very publicly had a falling out with. And it was like, it's just, I don't know. He's a good dude. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. People are weird.
Well, I just think like, you know, you can look for validation from groups, but then something like that can happen and you can kind of realize how pointless that all is. You're like, oh, okay, like I thought I wanted it from these people. I'm like, but this isn't what I want. Like I need it for me. Like I need to like figure out what I want to do, because I just realized that this is actually not great.
No, not good at all. But yeah. Eric says, can confirm. During the worst 2-year period of my life, Dan took a couple hours out of his Friday night to chat with me on the phone. Oh yeah, I do remember that. Hey man, I'm glad you're doing better. I forgot about that. It's been weird streaming again too, because a ton of people that used to be in Daggers just as names in the stream that weren't even posting art are doing like AAA video game work now.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many people that like did it. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, proud of all you guys.
Oh man.
How you feeling?
Good. I have more stuff to do for the comic, but I finished the page and then I finished I inked the end title page, you know, the same
This
thing you do
orc?
with like Steve.
This orc feels a lot like a Renaissance painting, like a candlelight, like a Rembrandt kind of thing. It does. It's got that glow lighting, you know what I mean? Where it's like they did like a ground of color and then painted in the darks, and it's like vibrant. I'm just saying, man, this feels like a Rembrandt orc. It's got that glow.
Thanks.
Yeah, man.
That's what I was going for.
Feels good.
Rembrandt
Feels
orc.
classic. Yeah.
No, I was just trying to play with that Venom style that I did. And I was like, I could do more stuff like that. And then this is kind of like what the next Diablo thing's gonna feel like. Honing in.
Honing. Are you honing or are you phoning? Are you honing it in or phoning it in?
But I mean, like I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm just excited.
You can toot.
But
you burned a toot.
This is fucking about 2 hours and 20 minutes. I mean, an hour and 20 minutes is this.
Dude,
it's crazy.
Give yourself a little toot.
I just can't believe that. Like when I look back and I think like what I used to struggle with.
Yeah. And
just like how much time something like this would take me. And now I just like knock this stuff out. I just did like a shitty sketch. And I was just thinking like, I'll do a quick exercise to do this stuff. And then like, it's still stupid. Like it doesn't serve any purpose at all. But in terms of the look and feel, I'm like, oh, I'm so happy. Like if I actually just had a good drawing, this would be nice.
I remember the phone call we had forever ago where you were like, I think I figured out why my paintings take so long. And I was like, what is it? And you were like, I just suck at drawing. And I was like, is that really going to speed you up? And you were like, it has to. I remember that conversation. And then you started doing the animation stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely speeds you up. Just doing like little sketches and things. Because now even like dumpy drawings help.
Glad I'm not alone, Chad. Other people are like, I was thinking Rembrandt as well. I just didn't want to say it. Thank you, Chad. It's got that Rembrandt glow. Orc by candlelight.
Yeah, I mean, like, this is one of those things where it started out as just this dumb sketch, and I'm just like, why am I working on this? Like, what is this? It's not for anything.
Because no matter what you do, no matter how many IPs you work on, no matter movie posters you do, comics you create, books you bind, you're Dave Raposa, and you're going to come back to a portrait of an orc screaming.
It's true.
It's in your blood. It's in your DNA. You can't escape it. What Mozart was to music, you are to screaming orcs. Okay?
Yeah. It's just one of my first true loves was Chris Metzen's Orcs.
Beethoven had the piano. You have a green muscular man screaming at me in 3/4 view.
Exactly, dude. I know this is my chocolate cake right here.
It is. It absolutely is.
It's like, I don't know, you just shut my brain off and just...
This is the beef bourguignon to your Julia Child. This is your legacy. This is what you leave behind for the rest of us.
Just crap. Just crap. Just useless crap.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I never actually wanted to do anything meaningful in art. And that's not a joke.
As I can confirm it, that's not a joke. That's true.
I never, ever thought I had something to say. And this is proof of that. I've been thinking about that tagline I told you for AI. I've been thinking about it a lot.
Have you told Chat that yet? Because that was the funniest thing I've heard in months.
Yeah, I was thinking of doing like a joke, like present. Well, in my mind, I was thinking of like a bit of trying to pitch AI to like big companies, and I was saying AI, and then the tagline was "Leave nothing to the imagination."
It's so good.
I was like, that would work so well.
So good. If you drew it like an Apple ad with just the simple bold font.
like it sounds pretentious, but it's also shitting on it.
Yeah, it's like a perfect summation.
That made me happy.
Leave nothing to the imagination. I can hear the girl saying it on the ad. AI, leave nothing to the imagination. Now you don't have to do any of the thinking, creativity, or work.
The machines do it.
With Midjourney, all you have to do is nothing, and something's created with your name on it.
Introducing full-time jobs. You will pack boxes. AI will make music and art.
6 to 8 hours of free time every day. Don't know what to do. Introducing free time jobs. Hi, my name's Jeff Bezos. Every day at Amazon, we have thousands of boxes ready to be packed by packers like you.
I know what you're thinking. A machine could do this. It could. The human machine.
So could you. Yeah. The greatest machine ever designed. The human body. With over 200 working parts and muscles
and 10
all the way
fingers.
Machines had found all the energy they would ever need.
And turned them into a battery like this one, sponsored by Duracell.
Sponsored by Duracell. Come see The Matrix.
Yeah, it's all very stupid.
Has anyone asked AI to write a prompt for why AI shouldn't be used?
I did that.
Okay.
I had AI explain why making AI art sucks. And I posted it on Twitter, and I was like, even AI knows.
Man. See, I'd know that if I had my Twitter. I'm missing out on all the good memes. Sometimes I look out my window and I watch the trees blowing in the wind, and I think about all the memes I'm missing, not being on Twitter.
I mean, not being on Twitter is good, though. I'm not even really on Twitter. I mean, Twitter's, all it is now is basically just being like, want to see somebody get killed? Hey, look at this. I'm like, all right. I'm good. I think I'm good.
My recommendation emails are just all completely insane. And I'm like, how did this happen? Why am I on this list? Like, what happened? What algorithm found me?
Yeah, have you seen the thing that keeps popping up for me on Instagram? I was showing Kim this. It's pretty wild. It's like girls got around the nudity stuff on, you know, like that you can't post nudity, is they get like a doll and they breastfeed it in reels.
Oh, that's kind of genius, but also horrifying.
I was gonna say it's not smart.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah,
I had an idea today, throwaway idea on stream, called success stories that me and you could publish with AI and just throw out there into the void, where it's just popular children's stories like Aladdin and the Magic Lamp, but halfway through the story, Aladdin takes the money he gets and invests it into a 401k and starts drop shipping products around the world and becomes an entrepreneur.
Hell yeah. And he starts AliExpress.
Yeah, exactly. Prince AliExpress. Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, but then they start a co-op and the Seven Dwarves franchise out and spread across the states. They become a really successful business.
Mm-hmm.
They develop an IP and then they sell it to a startup for tons of money and they retire.
Success stories.
Success stories. And at the end,
For
it goes,
little
"And
entrepreneurs.
So, yeah.
For the little entrepreneur in your life.
The end is a breakdown of how much they made versus their investment. Humpty Dumpty falls off the wall, then sues the guy that owns the wall. Makes $1 billion in a personal injury suit. Reinvests that money into a small startup. Sells an app.
I like it. Where do I sign?
There you go. Available at airport kiosks everywhere. Forgot a birthday gift for your kid on your business trip? Get him success stories.
Just imagining me at the airport, looking at what I could get. All right, it's either Jack Reacher or this. Just two options.
Thorns and Roses, Jack Reacher, or Success Stories.
Jack Reacher is going to be like the quintessential airport crap
Oh
book.
yeah,
It's,
for
I mean, it's
sure.
not crap. It's just, you know,
It's the right marketplace for the right product.
it's the close. It's the closest that men get to reading erotic fiction.
Yeah, that is erotica for men.
It's just Jack
100%. Yeah. 100%.
That's our Twilight. 50 Shades. It's just Jack Reacher.
It's our fantasy. Standing behind a woman at an ATM and going, "You're being carjacked right now, aren't you? Don't turn around." Is it the gray car?
Dude, I've laughed
killing
so
me.
hard listening to Jack Reacher books. They're so funny. Awesome.
Women have never been fucked better than the women that Jack Reacher fucks. And guys have never been killed worse than the guys Jack Reacher kills.
I'm reading it and I'm going, God damn, Jack. Got him again.
Jack.
Yes. Yes, Jack.
Jack Reacher's the only book where I feel bad for the villains. God damn. You guys messed with the wrong Jack today.
I can't remember which book I was reading. It might have been Jack Reacher.
The Destroyer.
Was it Jack Reacher? No, it wasn't Jack Reacher. What was the Amazon show that Chris fucking Star-Lord?
Oh. Yeah.
It was like a Jack Reacher show. But
It
it was
was like
him.
a Jack. Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't know the name of it off the top of my head, though. I never watched it.
Well, I put that book on, and that book was really funny because there's like a part where like his like wife and kid are like mercilessly murdered, and the speed in which it goes from the family being murdered to just his own revenge. So fast. It's so fast. He does not mourn their death, like, at all.
No Time to Mourn.
It's very matter of fact.
No Time to Mourn could be the title of one of those books, actually.
It was very funny though. Just like I was like, I actually had to look it up. I was like, there's no way this guy who wrote this has kids. I was like, I have to like find out. So I looked it up and I was like, he has a whole family. This dude has a whole family. Is that what
He
you
doesn't
do?
love any of them. He's writing what he knows.
Like he's like talking all calmly, like right after his like family's killed.
That is always the best part of those stories, though. Like even like the Death Wish movies. Like in the first movie, they give him like 3 minutes to care about the fucking daughter and wife, and then he's killing all of them. But by the third one, it's like his girlfriend's in a car. The car's brakes get cut out, goes into neutral. The car explodes and kills her, and he's like, 2 seconds later, he's like, "We're gonna kill all of them." That's. I got my 50 caliber machine gun and my board full of nails. Let's do
Dude,
this.
my son Loic, anybody in the chat, we were at the airport and he was doing the death wish thing to everybody.
What thing? There's so many things.
Every time somebody walked by, he would quietly point his finger gun at them and go pew at them.
Oh, that's
like,
great.
I was like, you can't just do that, Lo. You can't just
Los an airport.
finger gun everybody.
That's really great. Especially
Kim, are
with
you
his
still
fate.
here? What did he say in response to my New York City thing? So I can tell everybody. He said it this morning. I don't want to mess it up. It was so funny. He has such good like comedy timing. Yeah, so okay, Kim's on the same page as me. She's gonna tell me the line. I just need to be able to tell everybody in the way that he said it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Kim, tell me the line though. The chat's delayed.
My God. Someone in chat asked your opinion on the new Castlevania. I didn't know there was one, so I was looking it up, and it looks fucking awful.
Oh, is that from that like triple I thing? I was supposed
V
to watch that.
Rising, V Rising Legacy of Castlevania.
All right, Dan. So listen to this.
Yeah.
I said like, I can't remember how it started, but basically I always just do like bullshit, stupid, whatever stories at the table. I just make stuff up. So anyways, I was talking about like how, you know, like where I really feel alive is in like New York City. Like that's really my vibe. And like, you know, like I just start saying like really stupid shit. And I just started going, New York, that's where dreams are made of. And Loic waits a beat and he just goes, never heard of it.
Brutal. Brutal. That is so brutal.
It was so fucking funny. It made me laugh so hard. Never heard of it.
Oh God, he destroyed you. He fucking annihilated you.
It was so funny. They do that stuff like.
That's great.
Oh, I'll do like the other one is the like that's the same lane as that other thing that he does, which is really funny. Where I'll go, yeah, I don't know how it's going on over here. What are you guys doing? I just do like a voice like that, and then Loic will go, doesn't work.
Doesn't work.
That the voice doesn't work to do another one. Doesn't work is so funny. It's just a blanket response to
doesn't work.
Doesn't work. Like it's not funny at all.
It's like you're the comedian in the meme on the stage doing a routine, and there's one guy smoking a cigar in the audience who's deciding if you get a TV show. It's that scene.
Doesn't work.
Doesn't work. Haven't heard of it.
Yeah, and he's so funny.
That's incredible.
That's They're both really funny.
Never heard of it. Yeah, that new Castlevania game doesn't look like a Castlevania game.
Who made it? Is it Konami coming back or something?
Stunlock Studios?
No, not familiar.
I mean, it's obviously licensed. It looks like it's trying to be isometric like Diablo 3, but you can rotate the camera and you're like Alucard running around, but like the graphics are like not super great. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it'll be good. I have no idea. It looks like they're trying to combine Hades with Diablo. Chat, if anyone has any questions.
Well, I'm gonna hop off of here in like a second. I was just wrapping up this orc. I don't need to spend more time on this.
I was extremely happy. There's a scene in the Fallout pilot where there's a bunch of just describing a visual. Spoil it?
Does it? You
I
tell
don't
me. I
know,
haven't
man.
seen it.
I'll wait. I think you'll know. I think you'll know. You'll see it and you'll go, "Oh, this is the thing Dan liked." Railgun Sorcerer says, "Thanks for drawing amazing art live today, as well as the chat from both of you."
Well, thank you for hanging out. I appreciate that.
Thank
And if
you.
anybody wants to support, there's a link below to the Patreon where I have videos and things. I have specifically a tutorial up right now walking through the process of how I created a painting basically like this, my Venom. Yeah, shows kind of what programs I use and how I use each one of them. And we're going to have another stream next Thursday, same time, 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And Dan's streaming like basically every day. So if you want
Every
to
day.
hang out with Dan in the chat, you can
Yeah.
go to his channel, which is just Dan Warren Art, one word, right?
Just Dan Warren.
I thought it was Dan Warren
Yeah.
Art.
Dan Warren Art on Instagram. It's Dan Warren on YouTube.
Is it really?
Unless I'm wrong. Let me double
I'm pretty
check.
sure it's Dan Warren Art.
No, it's at Dan Warren.
Oh, okay.
Dan Warren Art's my Instagram, though.
Oh, okay. If you type Dan Warren Art, you come up. That's what happened.
There you go. There you go. Guys, you got to help me in my quest to get higher in the algorithm on YouTube than Daniel Warren Johnston. We got to crush him. We got to kill him. We got to defeat him.
It's true.
I can be the only one. The only one.
Do you remember back in the day when we searched Dan Raposa or Dave Warren? It was one of those.
Yes.
It was like the early
Mhm.
days of YouTube. And there was a dude on there that looked like a mixture of us.
Mm-hmm.
Or no. I remember what it was. It was a kid named Dan Warren who looked just like me. That's what it was.
Yeah, I vaguely remember this. I remember us laughing really hard about it.
Yeah, because it was so weird.
I still get people pop into my chat sometimes that are like, "Hey, Dave, good to see you." And I'm like, "Well, nope."
Okay, everybody. Rembrandt Orc is done. Appreciate you all, and I'll see you next week. Later, everybody.
Night, everyone.